Well, joining me now is no stranger to the platform, although it's the first time we are having a chat, so I'm really looking forward to it. Rowena Edge-Rowe from Save Women's Sport Australasia. Ro, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Well, I'm good. I mean, I know that you've spoken with Michael and with Sean, and I thought, wow, what am I missing out on? My turn.
Oh, I know, and congratulations. It's so nice to have a female on the platform team. I say.
Yeah. Yes, and I love it. I'm so happy that I'm here. For me, Rowan, for those that may not have listened in all the time, can you just quickly talk me through your Save Women's Sport Australasia, how it came about?
Yeah, so we set up about 5 years ago now to actually fight for the protection of female sports. At that time, we could see there was self-ID legislation sort of being pushed through Parliament, and we could see the implications it was going to have on sport. And at that time, you may remember Laurel Hubbard had started competing in the female category. And I don't know if anyone else remembers, but there was the Pacific Games, I think it was 2018, where Laurel was on the podium in gold medal position, and these two incredible Samoan athletes were just despondent in silver and bronze. And, the third place female actually missed out on the podium completely. And it just, it was so wrong, but no one was standing up and saying anything. So I thought, right, we need to do something about this. So we set up Save Women's Sport New Zealand. And then about 8 or 10 months later, I had to contact Senator Claire Chandler over in Australia, who's an incredible MP who advocates for fairness for females in sport. She contacted me and said, look, women in Australia need some help. Are you keen? And we decided after chatting that we should extend it to Save Women's Sport Australasia, because we're all fighting the same battle and dealing with the same problems with our sporting leaders and how captured they are. So, so it's been 5 years now. We're making progress, but it's very slow.
And Ro, I mean, gosh, it would have been slow under the previous government too, I can imagine.
Non-existent, backwards.
Non-existent. And am I right in saying, so what are you up to at the moment? Are you in Auckland to talk to a few politicians, or what are you up to?
I went up to Auckland yesterday to meet up with a New Zealand First MP, Tania Unkovic, and she was incredible. They're very passionate about trying to ensure that what they've put in the coalition agreement happens. And what they did for sport is they've got a clause in there that says that publicly funded sporting bodies must support fair competition that's not compromised by rules relating to gender. So at the moment, Sport New Zealand, under the direction of Grant Robertson, they created transgender guiding principles, and those are meant to apply for every sport in community sport, unless they want to develop their own. And these basically prioritise the inclusion and feelings of males over the fairness, safety, feelings and opportunities of all females, because they allow males to self-identify into the female category. They can do it just for the purposes of sport. They can self-identify in and out of it, so because they might be gender fluid. So, and we already have, I'm aware of one male in Nelson who self-identifies into roller derby just for the purposes of roller derby and lives as a male in every other facet of his life.
Oh, no.
So it's really a nonsense, and anyone that, stands up and says anything is made an example of, just like were when you were at Magic. You know what it's like. And so people become... Yeah, but it's all bollocks, we all know that's bollocks. And we've done surveys that show, polling that shows that only 16% of Kiwis actually agree with this. The rest of us think it's absolute nonsense. But the problem is that so few people speak out that the minority is allowed to dictate policy and dictate what happens here. And we need to change that. We need people to find their voices and become more vocal and support those MPs especially that are willing to push this change through. Especially Chris Bishop. He needs support. He's our Minister for Sport.
Yes, he is too. So if we look at the elite level of international bodies, they make obviously their own rules, and one by one they are saying no to trans women who went through male puberty. But you've just mentioned in New Zealand, it could be in our community levels. So you're talking, well, you mentioned the male playing in the roller derby. So are you talking even in school sports? This is at your local tennis club, your social anything.
Intermediate age girls cricket, that's happening. It's happening at all levels. And what was really frustrating is, when we were talking to Sport New Zealand about this, Raylene Castle, the CEO, said, community sport should be inclusive, and she insinuated that girls just want to participate. We don't want to win. So it actually doesn't matter if we prioritise inclusion, which really irked me because I've got a daughter and a niece who have represented New Zealand in their sport, and I can tell you, they want to win. I've coached sporting teams with girls, and they want to win. No one likes losing, and yes, you do, and it teaches you some valuable lessons, but, everybody that plays sport wants to win.
Yeah. What are you up against though, Ro? Because you did say, in the last 5 years it's been really hard, but you're making a little bit of inroad. You're going to get because I get Raylene Castle's at that guide, the guidelines of what you can do, but you're going to get these clubs that feel that if they do step out, then they do get called bigots or TERFs or they're anti-trans. So are we kind of in this little? How do we get them to feel strong enough to say, no, I'm sorry, Mr. who's in roller derby in Nelson, you cannot rollerblade here anymore. How do we get them to do that?
Well, the first thing we need to do is Sport New Zealand need to remove these transgender guidelines. They need to be gone because sports are basically referring to them, when we challenge them on their policies, they use that as the crutch for enabling these policies to continue. So those have to go. And then we need to write new sports policies that protect fairness and safety and opportunities, but also ensure that there is inclusion for everybody, because we all want our transgender population to be included in sport too. But we just need to find better ways for inclusion that don't come at the exclusion of females. And unfortunately, when you allow males into the female category, that is what happens. And so there are options for that. So, our two main challenges are we need to get those guidelines removed, and then we need new guidelines written.